Do you condemn the oppression of the Palestinian people by Israel?
Yes, yeah, 100%.
Let's see if you answer that question like the way I answered. Clearly.
You said yes, yeah? Thank you.
Let's see if he answers that. Go on, I'm waiting.
But it is more complex.
Why are you smiling now?
But thank you for giving a direct, clear answer.
Give us a direct answer without
I
waffling.
condemn the oppression, the legitimate oppression of the Palestinian people by Israel.
Say that again? I just want to hear it.
The legitimate oppression of the Palestinian people by Israel, I do. But what we must do is give an accurate and holistic picture of what that entails. So what do I mean by this?
Go on.
Here's what I mean.
Guys, what's the topic here?
Oxford and Cambridge?
Just chatting.
Sorry?
Oxford versus Cambridge.
Cambridge.
Okay.
Did Cambridge win?
Maybe.
Are you representing Cambridge?
Yeah, but I kind of want to like
I didn't study.
really get
I
stuck
was just having a conversation about
learn the language so well.
Okay, I mean, what stands out for you, Oxford or Cambridge?
True.
I've been to
Maybe consider you can do all that and still have a.
I have more friends in Cambridge, so I had a better time
Like
with
50% online, and the other half like
Where have you studied?
I started at the University of
Queens.
Industry.
Oh, okay. So your hair, like tourism, or your hair?
I live here now.
Oh, you live here now? How come you made that?
Idhar Raja.
Sure, people.
He doesn't want to be in, so it's just fine.
You know what? Weather, and it doesn't
Hi
have
there.
big creepy
I've seen it before. Oh, thanks. I haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah?
You're right.
I mean, I love Australia too.
when I basically came back, I was
I
curious
just
to
didn't want to
see
talk about
I know,
that.
when
all
you
the
change,
debates
I
were
love
going to be about
like
like
old English
Israel
literature
Palestine,
and stuff.
You can't say on camera.
No.
has it like sharps
Have you studied English literature?
Not in Speaker's Corner much. I think for some reason people are trying to evade that topic because it's everywhere else. Sabur bhai, come this side. Remember this gentleman we spoke to him earlier? Sabur?
Oh, weathering nice.
Yeah, he's coming. Sorry, I forgot your name. Luke. Yeah. Oh, you're Christian. Yeah, I remember you. Are you guys together?
No, that's just not here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I guess I was curious because I thought
Luke is a Christian. I thought he was a. Yeah.
I spoke to when you had long hair.
I thought here you get Christians, Muslims, everybody, and I was curious to see where Christians and Muslims would stand on the whole Israel Palestine thing. So
Where do you stand?
used to be really pro-Israel, like kind of basically if you look at it sociologically, people who are just aggressively tend to be pro-Palestine. So I just got a knee-jerk reaction, thought, okay, Palestinian position is very aggressive position.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the perception amongst the young people today. They used to be, I think the older generation used to be pro-Israel, but now it's gradually moving towards pro-Palestine. And this is the case even before social media, like before TikTok and all came along. So I think, look, people do observe oppression and who the oppressors are. So when you start saying something is a war between two equals and you realize it's not really two equals, like one side has an army, a sophisticated weapons and all that, and the other side is basically fighting with stones, and their schools and homes and hospitals are being bombed. I mean, it's natural for anyone with the heart, with the intellect and the emotional reasoning at least to understand that this is clearly oppression and it has to be stopped. So regardless of whether you're a Christian or even, many Jews are on the pro-Palestine because they know that what happened to them many years ago when they were being oppressed by a stronger enemy, then they realized that nobody came to our aid. So I think these children and even many of the Holocaust survivors are realizing that this is not justice. What Israel is doing and indiscriminately harming and bombing women and children, like literally almost every day. And you're talking about nearly 12,000 people dying. Half of those are children. I mean, it's indiscriminate killing.
I mean, I think so. I grew up, as I said, like with that kind of initial. I think there's also
You say that that's
like a strange, not even strange, but there's a common link between like evangelical Christianity and being pro-Israel. And then went around Israel, went around Palestine, went back again just to the Palestinian, Ramallah, Jenin, Nablus, everything. And then did some more research, and I was like, I don't think any situation is 100% black and white, but I've definitely gone a lot more like pro-Palestine now, a lot more just like.
And to be honest,
even if I were to say the whole, I can accept in war and conflict this collateral damage, I can accept that, I'm 100% pacifist. But there's collateral damage, and then there's like, the numbers are just insane. Like you can't say 10, 12,000 is collateral damage.
yeah. But why do you think most of the, and this is not in Britain, I think it's mostly American, most of the American evangelists, they're still pro-Israel. Why do you think that is?
I think it's
Pro-Zionist, I would say, not even pro-Israel,
I think
pro-Zionist.
it's two things. I think the first thing is that it's seen as the kind of more conservative right-wing position. So again, this is part where I came from it, even without theological considerations. It's just, I see loads of progressive liberal people being pro-Palestine. I disagree with them on other issues, so I don't want to be pro-Palestine. I think that's one half of it. The other half of it is the theological thing of kind of assumptions of, eschatology and how, like, the completion of Israel as a state and being strengthened and fortified coincides with kind of biblical prophecies, especially in Revelation, which I disagree with, but I can kind of get behind.
Which is true, mentioning collateral damage. I think those evangelists, even though they are seen as pro-Israel, but for them, the second coming of Jesus will lead to the death and destruction of a lot of Jews as well. Because the Jews who reject Jesus, obviously, for them, they are seen as collateral damage. So it's not just the Muslims, it's also the Jews. For these evangelical Christians, it's more like a means to an end. Yeah?
I guess the difficult thing is, it's kind of like a sliding scale, whether some people think Israel today is the same continuation of the biblical Israel, which I don't personally. I don't hold to that. But whilst I don't hold to that, at the same time, I don't completely think that God's covenants with the Jewish people, that they're completely 100% abandoned. I think that there is some kind of special relationship that God has, or that He remembers. It's like the same thing, like even I imagine something similar in Islam. Like, you didn't have to take it to a nation, it's like a family. If God has worked through a family and done blessings upon them and this kind of thing, then there's like a remembrance of that, even if they abandon it, that there's some kind of seed that's been sown that can be kind of reinvigorated. And I guess I don't know how else to phrase it, but I think that's something.
In Islam, there is such a thing about blessing of a family. For example, we say, when we pray every day, when we sit down in At-Tahiyyat, we say, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Wa ala ali Ibrahim, kama sallayta ala Ibrahim. So both the family of Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the family of Abraham is blessed. Now, if you look at the family of Abraham, it includes Abraham's children are both Isaac and Ismail. Yes? And you will agree to that. Isaac and Ismail are both the children of Abraham. So when we say the family of Abraham, it blesses everyone. You see, there's no discrimination here. We don't only say, only bless the children of Israel or the Bani Israel, which excludes actually the Muslims, and well, at least those people who are not from that lineage, and excludes the Christians who are not from that lineage. But when you say from the family of Abraham, because Abraham is known as the patriarch of all three religions, isn't it? Of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Okay? So for us, as soon as we say children of Abraham, it includes everyone.
Can I ask a question about
that? Yeah, sure.
What do you think, what should happen, or how should Israel approach the situation? From your perspective, obviously, none of us support children dying, none of us support innocent non-combatants getting killed. This is an abomination. I hope we all would agree on that. What solution do you see, or what should Israel do to try and minimize casualties?
I don't think it's up to, look, as far as I know, Israel will never deal justly in this situation, because the entire system is built on apartheid. Okay? They see everyone other than the Jews as being the otherization. And this otherization, just like in South Africa, there was no solution. The solution only came into being once the apartheid state was removed. Until that injustice is maintained, there will be no solution. Because I think that any just system first needs to acknowledge that there has to be some sort of equality in dealing with everyone. You cannot have one set of laws for the Jewish people and another set of laws for the non-Jewish people. Yes, like even the Arab Israelis who have the citizenship of Israel, they are treated like second class in Israel. Yes, for example, they can't get married to an Israeli if they wanted to. They have to marry amongst themselves. Now, if you're going to call that democracy, then they don't understand the meaning of democracy. Because under democracy, everyone should have the same rights. You cannot have one set of rights for a set of people and another set of rights for another people. And that's exactly what happened in South Africa. You know Nelson Mandela? He was known as a terrorist. And he went to the jail for what, 23 years or something like that. And only after that he became a hero. So the same person who fought for his rights, who said that everyone, the blacks and the whites, should be treated equally, they considered him to be a terrorist. Because at that time, the entire system was an apartheid system.
Yeah, so that's fine. You've given us a nice overview of the
All I'm saying is that until justice is established, you will have no solution.
That's fine. What I'm saying is, in the context of this specific conflict, just focus on that. What is the way to approach the situation? That is
My friend, it's the same answer. The same answer. Until and unless you acknowledge that what takes place in that system. You know when you have been given, no, you need to understand.
Just from October 7th.
Yeah, for example.
October 7th.
I'm saying.
No, but it didn't begin at October 7th.
Yeah, I know.
That's the thing.
I know. I didn't say that. I guess I'm just kidding.
But he's saying that solution, which is required here, the solution has to take the entire picture into consideration and not just the pixel. Because if you're going to focus only on October 7, then October 7 didn't happen in a vacuum.
But
would you agree on at least a ceasefire?
Yeah, of course. Everyone is calling for ceasefire. You never mentioned the term ceasefire.
I asked you, what is the solution?
But ceasefire is not the solution.
I never said ceasefire. I said, what do you see as the solution to the current conflict?
So that's why I'm saying the ceasefire itself is not the solution. Okay? Ceasefire is something to stop the fighting and to talk and to discuss the solution then. So ceasefire is the means, it's not the main destination.
So are you
right now I'm saying that until and unless you establish justice amongst the people, okay? So when somebody is living in their own land like a refugee, then you clearly will never ever have justice. Okay.
Can you also define what you mean by apartheid? So, and here's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean it's like you have I think I did already. Yeah.
When you say
where you have a special rights for only a particular set of people.
So
like in South Africa, when they had a special rights for the white people, even though it was the land of the black people. Africa is a land of the black people, we know that. And these people in South Africa, when they in their own land, they were mistreated, they were oppressed, they were killed, they were, raped, they were looted, you name it, everything.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, I got to pretty soon. All I was going to say is, I think to echo Sam, I think we all agree on that. I think the more complex question is, once you have a ceasefire, we say that's a means to the end. What do you do afterwards? From my perspective, I think you have to have a two-state solution. I think I agree.
Even two-state solution is not agreed upon by them, and that is the reason. That is the reason. Look, when the United Nations, has agreed that Gaza and the West Bank belong to the Palestinians, what they started doing, they started building settlements. And when the United Nations told them that this is an illegal settlement, did anyone listen to them? No. Did America and Europe come to the aid of the Palestinians? No. Every time Israel has made a deal or a treaty, they have broken it. So how can we trust the people? Okay, I'm talking about the government especially when I say the people. The government, how can we trust a government who has broken every single treaty that they have signed? Whether it's on an international level like in the United Nations or elsewhere. They will never recognize any resolution passed because every resolution that was passed against Israel was vetoed by their father, the Americans.
Yeah, but then I guess, and I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
But I guess the question is then what is the solution?
The solution is justice. I've told you this repeatedly.
Reverse the settlement.
What does that look like?
Reverse the settlement. That's the start.
That's concrete. You can work with that.
I can agree with that. But then once you've reversed the
because there are certain people that are asking for a two-state solution, isn't it? Now, if you want a two-state solution, there has to be two distinct states. You can't have one state and then half and half a state. Okay. So you have to agree.
That's because Gaza is on one side, West Bank is on the other side, and then you got two different, in fact, you need to have two governing bodies. You cannot have one governing body, okay, because the other one is like quite far away from the other. So when you have Gaza, which is under siege all the time. That means those people do not even have their water and food, yes, to go in or out without the permission of the without the permission of the IDF.
Why is that?
Yes?
Why is that?
Exactly. That is what I meant by the injustice.
Yeah, but why is that? What is the reason why?
Sorry,
Yeah.
you're
Who is this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. What is the reason why that war exists? What is the reason why they are living in a more controlled fashion? It's because of all of the kind of aggression, fighting, missiles, and things that have been. We can brand it terrorism if you want to, but people are going to dispute those, whatever. All of the warfare that's happened from the Palestinian people going into the Israeli territory, that's also a factor. But what I wanted to ask the question is, in this solution, do you see Hamas as legitimate representatives and leaders?
Are you Piers Morgan?
No, I'm asking.
You sound like him. Can I ask you something? No, hold on. Let me address.
Hashim, do you condemn Hamas?
It's not about that. It's not ask questions.
Yeah, I know you asked a question, but the question is this. Wait. First,
Wait. Let me finish my question and then you can.
actually, you did already.
No, you stopped me as I'm talking.
Okay, what's your question?
What I'm saying is, when you're looking at.
By the way, you're being recorded. It's okay because earlier you were objecting to it.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's
When
fine
you're
now.
looking at the leadership of
Yeah.
the Palestinian people, what I asked is, do you see Hamas in isolation from October 7th as legitimate representatives of the interests of the Palestinian people? Or would you prefer some other kind of governance to come in? That's the actual question I'm asking.
Okay.
This isn't a trick question.
So you're asking
It's a
about
question.
you're asking whether Hamas is democratically elected by the Palestinian people.
I said-
and the answer to that is yes, it was
Are
actually.
they representative of what? the
That's what I just said. You were not listening. I said the Hamas was actually elected by the Palestinian people. Now look, whenever any country elects their government, whenever they elect the government, it is not up to you and me who live outside Palestine, who live outside Gaza, to come and dictate to them what kind of government they should elect. Like I told you, look, when ANC was the government in South Africa, they were considered and condemned as a terrorist organization at that time. Do you remember that? I don't know if you guys remember that, but they were literally condemned as terrorist organizations. So it is very easy for us living in the West here to condemn people as terrorists or non-terrorists. Let the people decide who is the right government. If they are not right for them, then those people give them the option to elect somebody else. But right now, what I'm saying is that even before Hamas came into the picture, were the Palestinians oppressed or not?
Yeah.
They were. So it is not the question of Hamas, it's the question of who are the oppressors here. And do you, wait, now I've answered your question. I have answered your question. Now let me ask you the question now. Do you condemn the oppression of the Palestinian people by Israel?
Yes, 100%.
Let's see if you answer that question like the way I answered. Clearly.
You said yes, yeah? Thank you.
Let's see if he answers that. Go on, I'm waiting.
But it is more complex.
Why are you smiling now?
But thank you for giving a direct, clear answer.
Give us a
Go
direct
ahead.
answer without
I
waffling.
condemn the oppression, the legitimate
Wow.
oppression of the Palestinian people by Israel.
Say that again? I just want to hear it.
The legitimate oppression of the Palestinian people by Israel, I do. But what we must do
Yeah.
is give an accurate and holistic picture of what that entails. So what do I mean by this?
Go on.
Here's what I mean. You said Hamas have been democratically elected, okay?
Yeah.
So that means So that means they represent the interests of the Palestinian people. The billions of dollars of aid money that Hamas have received over the past 18 years, they have spent that money primarily on building weapons.
Who told you that, by the way? No, wait. Who told you that?
So right now you're going to say, what is your source? You're going to say, you're going to try and fact check me.
No, I'm not going to fact check you. I'm going to ask you where's your source. That's all.
Fact check.
All I ask is where is your source coming from? Because if it is from Israel, then we know from the recent events that they have doctored many of their so-called evidences. Like even in the Shifa hospital recently. This is by the BBC.
I was just deviating from the main point I was making.
Bro, it's not from the main point. It is only fair to ask you the source because you made a claim.
I made a point.
You made a claim. You need to ask a question.
I don't think Sam's saying what you think he's saying, right? So he's not.
No, he made a claim. He said most of the aid money which went to Palestine was used by the Hamas to buy weapons.
He said,
that was
where
his
did you get
claim.
that from?
All I asked is, who told you that?
I mean, before that even. So I think I probably agree with Samuel.
On what?
In the sense that I think if you want to help the Palestinian people optimally, yes, obviously you need to see what Israel's doing, that is oppression and evil and injustice, but also you need to see the way in which other things factor in that continue that kind of situation. So for example, if we say, do I think, for example, Hamas's attack on October 7th has brought about good for the Palestinian people? No. So I would say, although I'm condemning Israel, don't mince my words, 100% I'm condemning Israel, but I have to say Hamas's role in that exacerbated and harmed Palestinians. So I think, yes, they were democratically elected, but do I think that they're optimally doing what's best for the Palestinian people, or at least bringing about what's best?
Okay.
Not at the moment.
So let me. I understand what you're saying. That's fine. I understand what you're saying.
That was basically what I was saying.
The same. By the way, look. Let me ask you this: a state which is under siege all the time. Yes. Can you imagine those people? Yes, able to take paragliders outside that sieged little, what is it, like 30 mile or something? Yes, allowing them to take entire army into Israel, and from 8 different entry points without the Israelis knowing about it for 6 hours. Exactly. And that is the reason, look, that is the reason I asked him about the source of what he said earlier, the claim that the Hamas is using this 8 for weaponizing them. Everything that you hear from the media is not going. It's obviously going to be scrutinized now. It's not. People are not just going to believe everything. So when you have a nation in which even the water, food, and electricity and fuel is actually controlled by Israelis, and they allowed 8 different entry points or exit points from Gaza into Israel, and then taking 6 hours. 6 hours, my friend, just imagine this, to actually respond to that kind of destruction that happened amongst that little, what is it, some sort of a music festival or something, yeah?
See,
now wait a minute. They have Apache helicopters, they have fighter jets, okay, which they can send those within 5 minutes or even less. Now, for them to take 6 hours to respond to such a scenario is highly questionable. Whether they were deliberately allowed into Israel so that then they can have an excuse to destroy Gaza, okay? Because it's not conspiracy. It's not conspiracy. It's
conspiracy in the sense that it's not been demonstrably proven. I don't think it's like a ridiculous.
By the way, for you to ask questions like this when it is clear that the Israelis had checkpoints at every little junction wherever the people from Gaza were moving into their own lands, let alone outside of Gaza, okay? That kind of surveillance, that kind of scrutiny, that kind of checkpoints and security that Israel had in place, I think it will be almost impossible for even a small car to move outside that place, let alone 6 different exit points and demolish an entire, what do you say, little settlements out there. Yeah, go on.
The reason I mentioned the fact that Hamas have spent a proportion, let's just say this, just for the sake of the ambiguity, they've spent some of the money that they received on weapons. Would you accept that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to that.
Okay, cool. Because we're going to be arguing the fine details about how much was spent.
Because you said majority of the money, that's why I said.
Okay, it's fine. I don't mind that. Okay?
You guys can chip in.
Here is the point I'm trying to say. Hamas have mismanaged their position of leadership. That is my central point. So what I'm saying is when we're trying to speak about a solution or a future where the Gazan citizens can have an actual prosperous future, I said future twice, excuse me, I don't see that happening with the Hamas government with the level of blood.
Why are you focusing only on the Hamas government?
I'll give you a perspective.
Because the injustice is not created by Hamas. Like I said, even before Hamas, there was injustice. There was injustice long before the Hamas came in. Yes. And the other example I can give you right now is the West Bank. There's no Hamas there, but there is still killing. There's still destruction. There's still oppression there.
The West Bank is a different
situation. But when you say, look, when you no, this is. I've seen him. If you watch this video, he has brought the focus back on Hamas every time.
I'm
And I'm saying if you consider Hamas to be the problem, then you need to question about West Bank. Because Hamas are not there, but they still operation there.
Can I interject? One second.
Go on.
The point is, if we're already starting...
By the way, I'm not supporting Hamas. If that is what it comes across, that is not. All I'm saying is that there has to be justice. There has to be a justice there.
Well,
Before you speak, I'm trying to have a good faith conversation. Yeah? I'm not accusing you guys of being Hamas.
I haven't seen you ask a question once. Why should we? No, Sam. I've not heard you say once about the government of Netanyahu. Why is that?
It's terrible government.
Why is that? Why did you always focus on Hamas?
Because we agree on that already.
No, we haven't. I haven't seen him say the word Netanyahu even once. Okay. The government of this. By the way, this Likud party in Israel, they are actually the locals. The local Israelis are against him because of the corruption in his own government. Yes, I think this was more of a smoke screen.
Yeah.
This was more of a smoke screen.
Yeah.
Yes. So even though he said generally I condemn them, but you see when you keep saying that only one side needs to be questioned.
Let me say one thing about. So here was something that was reported by Haaretz. Yeah. So
Haaretz is an Israeli newspaper.
Yeah.
More of a left wing.
Left leaning. Yeah. So this is a quote. Yeah. Anyone who wants to thwart the establishment of a Palestinian state has to support bolstering Hamas and transferring money to Hamas. Netanyahu, is it exclusive?
What is it?
Is it exclusive?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Whose video is this? Huh?
I have no idea who that is. It's a picture probably.
Is it? All right, tell him it's exclusive, whoever it is. Oh, it is actually. It might be. I don't know. It is.
To attack and to take a land that doesn't belong to them, and on top of that, there have been other cases in which Israel has been seen to be, arming Hamas. In fact, Hamas is the perfect alibi for them. Anytime something goes wrong, and like Hashim said, when you look in the West Bank, there is no Hamas, yet the persecution of Palestinians we're still seeing.
Yeah, and we can speak about that if you want to. We can actually dive into the actual details of that.
Right. So the thing here is that look, Hamas.
But it's not one-sided. There's blood on both sides. Do you acknowledge that? There's blood on Palestinians. There's blood on Israelis.
When there's a war taking place, of course. Of course.
There's injustice on both sides.
I'm not gonna come and say there's only one person doing the blood. However, but Sam, we also need to make clear another thing as well. The disproportionate response of a superpower, the fourth biggest army on the planet, being given weapons by NATO and Europe, arming them to their teeth, having
financing
tools like Pegasus? Was it Pegasus?
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, the spy software.
The spy software that you can have on your phone, and then nobody even knows. And you're hearing, technologically, they know if somebody, I was at Jordan, they know if somebody crosses that border, even a cockroach gets blown to bits using lasers. Yeah? And here you've got Hamas running around,
killing innocent people.
Going in tunnels.
He's talking now.
Compare a superpower to people building tunnels underneath, and then the superpower when they get a reaction from people that they are oppressing, because the people that are fighting back. Do you say that the people fighting back are only Hamas?
Sorry?
The people fighting back, do you believe they're only Hamas?
No.
There are other Palestinian resistance forces, So the way the media is saying and the way certain politicians are framing it, it's false. It's an injustice.
Can I quickly go in?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, so, okay, I think the thing is that, and I totally understand it, when you see so many lies on the media, and they're basically immediate, just like Palestinian, Hamas, evil, Israel, we stand with Israel, right? I get why, therefore, when somebody else critiques Hamas, it's easy to assume that they're going on with that narrative. But I guess Sam and I are always trying to say is, if we're taking a holistic approach to what is the future to stop innocent people dying, right? We can fully acknowledge the disproportionality. We can fully acknowledge Israel's place for 70 years. We can fully acknowledge starting and like collateral not being collateral. All of that tick, 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 tick. But we're saying, if we want to make progress, we're also going to have to acknowledge, granted proportionally smaller, but we still have
You can record us.
have led actually to more suffering for young Palestinian groups. And we're saying, regardless of Jew, Muslim, Christian, anybody, Israel, Palestinian, whatever, if we want a future of peace for them, we need to be able to condemn both and remove the kind of emotional charge out of it.
I'll take one step forward. I'll take one step forward. Let me know if you disagree with this. Yeah, this might be kind of adding to your point. Yeah, of course you can. You can speak now if you want. Yeah. So the point that I wanted to say, because it related with your point, which is that international law. Before you start condemning this or that, there's like you've got people that will be siding with Israel, you've got people that will be siding with Palestinians or whatnot. There is an objective, well, somewhat objective, yeah, arguably objective, yeah, international law. Yeah, you have international law, you've got the Rome Statute, you've got the Geneva Convention, you've got this or that. Now, if we put certain things in place, then if we're asking, okay, what's the next step? Well, how about we look at international law, the thing that's actually been agreed by many countries, and if we're seeing that you're telling an entire group of people to go from the north to the south, firstly, you should be asking a mass of people and giving them, was it 24, 48 hours, to move.
To evacuate.
You actually cannot do that.
We agree that as well.
Yeah.
And from the hospitals. The worst thing is hospitals.
Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that when international law agrees with that, we need to firstly find out why is Israel not following international law. That's the first thing. Number two, who's supporting Israel? You've got superpowers like America that are saying, you know what, they can do whatever they want, they can do no wrong. So when, so when you've got that going on, I get, okay, you want to condemn Hamas, but I'm saying this is bigger than Hamas.
No, we all exactly. But here's what I'm going to say.
Go ahead.
Here is the difference, or I hope that what I'm trying to say. If Netanyahu is a bad leader, let's replace him. Okay, and when I say if, there's going to be people who say they like some of what Netanyahu's saying, there's going to be people saying Netanyahu's bad, whatever side of the coin that you find yourself on. If he's a bad leader, let's replace him and put someone else better in there. And so when I'm looking at Hamas and I'm saying, look, they have mismanaged some of their power, okay? The Hamas leaders are currently in Qatar with their multiple wives just chilling while their citizens are suffering. This is not cool. If these people are mismanaging their leadership, they should be replaced by better leaders. And then I can also say Israel, maybe they've been too aggressive in some situations. Maybe they shouldn't have been bombing indiscriminate residential buildings. None of our supporters, we've been very consistent with that. But if their leadership is poor, let's replace them with leaders who follow international law.
And how do you think you can replace leaders? Do you just think the international community? No, but
Israel is a democracy.
But that's what I'm saying.
Them out of position
but exactly, just like the way you said, that there are people who will support Netanyahu. So you can have another election, and if Netanyahu gets elected again, we are back to the square one, aren't we? So democracy is not the way you think it works.
As you just said before,
what?
70% of Israel don't even want Netanyahu in the position of power right now. That's
but you forgot the bit that they are actually backed.
We're speaking consistently.
No, they're backed by superpowers who can manipulate the situation, even the voting, if they wanted to. Democracy is not like democracy like the way you think it is.
Let's try and stay concrete. What I'm saying is this, let's be consistent. If Israel does something bad, let's condemn them. If Hamas does something bad, let's condemn them. And if the Palestinians do something bad in the West Bank, which antagonizes situations and leads to...
By the way, do you think...
if the IDF soldiers go in and kill 200 civilians, that's also wrong.
Instead of you saying... Sam,
somewhat directly then.
Yeah.
Be consistent.
Can I just make a quick point? Instead of saying replace the leaders...
I think Hamas should go. That's my position.
Well, I think Netanyahu should go as well.
Great.
So
that's democracy.
So how do you get rid of them? How do you get rid of the wrong leaders? Okay? You do not just wait till the next election and you get rid of. When you see someone, and including whether it's Muslim, non-Muslim, Jewish, Christian, doesn't matter who it is, where in the world it is. We have the international criminal code for a reason. When they commit, crimes.
And then America keeps vetoing
exactly.
any progress.
Exactly. And when you
whether Netanyahu's there or whether Netanyahu's not there, so it's the same with Hamas.
bring them to justice. That's all I'm saying.
I know you're focused on the Hamas thing. That's why I want to answer it directly. Yeah.
We can talk about Israel. I don't have an issue with that.
No.
But I just need
let me answer your point because you mentioned it a couple of times. So I want to
crystal clear.
Let me address
this. This is not a situation where we're just going to say they're victims, therefore they can go into.
Let me address it.
That's not right.
Because once I've addressed that,
bring them to the ICC. Simple as that.
When I've addressed it, then hopefully we can move forward. The election that actually took place with Hamas happened a long time ago. Yeah, and the thing is, the constant mowing of the grass, which is a term that's used to constantly kill off anyone who reaches a certain age after a certain amount of time because there's a threat, therefore we got to kill off. Bro, you're not allowing a group of people to prosper enough that they can sit together and say, okay, you know what, this isn't working for us. But the thing is, for us to sit here in comfortable England to say, you know what, we think Hamas this, we think Hamas that. I'm saying, firstly, there was a time. Again, we're not saying Hamas is this or Hamas is that. We're just speaking on a factual basis. We're not saying this group is right, this group is wrong. What we're saying is people were very quick to say Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. Based upon the situation that was transpiring in the way the news was going. And you're more than welcome to do that. People were very quick to say, Gandhi is a terrorist.
There's no virtue in going to a convinced community and killing people.
But Sam, here's what I'm saying.
Using that principle,
here's what I'm saying.
Every single prime minister of this country who waged a war, who has committed war crimes, they should all be brought to ICC.
Let me undercut that. When you say...
Why not? Exactly. Why not? But who has done it? That's the thing. Who has done it? No one.
Let me just quickly make this point.
If Churchill does wrong, he's done wrong, we can condemn him, we can bring him to court, no problem.
But no one does it. It's all just lip service.
When America went into Iraq and Syria and killed 1 million people, that was terrorism. It was evil.
But who got punished? Which of the leaders were brought to justice?
There's one thing we need to determine.
I don't have the power to do that, but I can call a spade and say it's wrong.
Wait. We need to determine one thing.
I'm not sitting there saying they can go in and do it.
When you're saying that they've killed innocent people, what are you basing that upon?
What do you mean?
When you're saying Hamas has killed people at this rate, have beheaded, do you believe they beheaded 40 babies?
To me, that's not relevant. They killed people inside the convinced community.
No, that news story let me just finish my point.
Story is a red herring.
Let me finish my point, then you tell me if it's a red herring or not, The story that was on the front page of every single pretty much newspaper in this country that was being led by major anchors, and the story that they ran with, and that even Biden said, yes, I've seen the evidence of 40 beheaded babies, and then the White House spokesman had to come out and say, no, he didn't actually see them. That's an example of something that was claimed that Hamas did. That's an example. I'm giving you a case study. Do you accept that they beheaded 40 babies?
Here's what I'm going to say. I don't know.
Okay, that's a good, honest...
I haven't seen the evidence. I don't know.
Okay, fantastic.
What I can say is they went into the kibbutz community and they killed innocent people. What I can say is there are around 200 plus hostages that have been taken. These are more concrete.
So do you think everyone who was killed was innocent?
With regards to the civilians, what evidence do you have that majority of those civilians were non-combatants?
Or innocent?
So you think they went into the kibbutz community and killed
I'm just asking you.
I think the evidence is
more compelling that they weren't.
Which evidence?
They weren't ideas.
The evidence is
the evidence that's become through media.
From who?
From media,
Where's the media getting it from?
All the major news organizations.
Where are they getting it from?
It is the same media who said about the 40...
No. It's like the occupier. You know what? It's like the occupier saying, you know what? This has happened to us. Believe us.
Yes.
Wait.
That's why we're taking it with a
Trust me, bro.
Wait. Stop.
It's so complex.
How many people have died in the Gaza Strip over the past 40 days? How many?
It's come out. Israel has
nearly 12,000.
12,000.
Well, I don't believe that.
Well, that's something that Israeli authorities have accepted.
Why should we trust them?
You don't have to trust them.
Have you seen the bodies?
You don't have to trust them. I've undercut you.
Have you seen the bodies?
I've said you don't have to trust them.
Have you seen the bodies?
But he's already answered your question. You're not listening. You're not listening.
What I'm saying is, I don't doubt the fact that it's been over 10,000. But I'm saying we can dispute any statistics.
And that's what I'm saying.
Do you believe 1,400 died in Israel?
I'm saying you can. I agree with you. We can
By the way,
dispute any statistics.
It's now 1,200.
I'm saying the point is, whatever you see.
We can dispute any statistics.
Of course you can.
But when you take categorical statements like this is a terrorist, that's not a terrorist.
That's not a terrorist.
That's why I'm saying that it's too early for us to give categorical statements that this person's a terrorist, that person's not a terrorist.
Go
ahead.
So, I think the problem is that right here, right now, and even if we had laptops on us all and everything, it's going to be insanely difficult to like tease apart what actually happened, right? And I think we both have the humility to say we don't know the exact numbers.
Exactly,
right?
and that's fair.
Fine.
And
I would also add on top
Yeah,
of that,
No
I know
worries.
you're saying like from an armchair position, it's quick to condemn people and so on. I think you can both, I would say honestly, if I was in a position of being in Gaza, Palestine, whatever, I could fully understand the anger and I could understand if I didn't have my Christian morals or had other moralities, I might take up arms and fight. Okay?
100%.
I'm not going to bash that and be like, you guys are...
And we can't blame the Palestinian citizens for hating Israel. We can't
I
blame
have family who've been in
No
war
way.
situations and they still are, I understand the pain, right? What I'm saying is though, is that if we want to move forward and we go past, we can't get the exact numbers, but what we do have is we can say, okay, blood has been shed on both sides.
Absolutely.
I will happily concede that Israel has done incalculably more and for 70 years, and I can say that they've been for Hamas and that Hamas is in the West Bank, blah, 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 blah.
One correction. That in 1948, when the war started, the Allied Arab forces actually triggered that conflict. So it's not always the aggressor. So we've got to acknowledge that with the people.
Okay, but all I want to say is that when we are saying how do we stop
That's
innocent people
disputed
dying,
as well, though, by the way. Yeah.
And we can dive into that
Yeah,
further
if
too.
we want
It's
to say
fine.
how do we stop innocent people dying, it needs to be the case that when someone raises a criticism of something like Hamas or the non-Israeli authorities, that there isn't always the knee-jerk reaction to why are you ignoring what Israel is doing. Well, we're not. There are
I didn't
tons
say
of people
that, by
who
the
do.
way, yeah?
Right, sure. But there's tons of people who are doing that and they should be condemned. But let's condemn Israel. Let's condemn what Hamas is doing as well. Let's understand there's nuance. There's pain and there's suffering on both
No,
sides.
but in terms,
But how do we
my
move
friend, look, in terms of the ceasefire, right now, the only people,
Yeah, exactly.
the only people who are denying the ceasefire are the Israelis.
I'll tell you.
Settlement,
If
and at some
someone,
point,
if someone's been doing something for 70 years,
state.
if someone's been doing something for 70 years, they've been violating international law. America has been vetoing any progress because they've been backing their friend. Then there needs to be sanctions.
It's not been one-sided.
Wait. There needs to be sanctions on Israel. There needs to be sanctions
Well,
on America.
you just presented a one-sided narrative that
No.
it's just been Israel the aggressor for 70 years. It's not the case.
No, but if
That is not the
you
case. It's
see,
been two-sided.
no.
So you're going to blame the victims who are being occupied by the occupier.
You're applying a narrative that isn't accurate.
So Israel is not the occupier.
Who is violating international law?
Wait. What part's occupied? What part's occupied?
Well, right now, I'm answering. If you wait for the answer, calm down. I know you're emotional. Gaza has been occupied. Okay. Like I told you several times before, they can't even have water and food going in and out without the permission of the Israelis. So right now, the people who can introduce ceasefire or who can initiate ceasefire are the Israelis who don't want to. Okay. What I'm saying, the international community, all of them, all throughout the world, you have had so many rallies, so many protests in America, throughout the world, in Europe, in London, some of the biggest protests, nearly 1 million people marched the other day. All of them are saying ceasefire now. The only people refusing are the Israelis.
How about that being the first step?
And here's my response. No.
concrete,
The first step is releasing the hostages. No. The first step is releasing the hostages.
Which hostages?
Are you gonna-
All of Gaza are hostages.
Raining bombs.
All of Gaza are hostages.
And what about the Hannibal Directive?
There were Palestinian children in prison before
Yes,
October
yes.
the 7th as well.
Let me say something.
What about the Palestinian
Why are they not
hostages?
hostages? Why the Palestinians?
Sam, do you know that all of Gaza is hostages? They cannot go in and out without the permission of their occupiers.
Every Palestinian is a
I
hostage.
feel like we've achieved
Okay,
this.
but would you agree that the
I'm saying-
hostages Israel has taken
I'm saying-
should still be condemned as well?
I'm saying before we get
Hostage-
As long as we're
ceasefire,
consistent.
Yeah, look.
We need to bring the hostages home.
If the reason,
I'm saying,
it didn't happen in a vacuum, as I told you.
I know,
Hamas
they
needs
should
to
both
release
be
the
condemned.
hostages before a ceasefire can be negotiated.
Yeah,
That's
but
my point.
how are you going to release hostages when Israel, have you heard of something called the Hannibal Directive? So Hannibal Directive is when Israel will kill its own hostages. There's been peer-reviewed cases of Israel killing its own hostages because they've realized that the hostages have been used as like a trading commodity of sorts, and that's why they actually kill their own hostages.
See, I'm not what you just said there is something I need to look into.
Yeah, fair
What
enough.
I'm saying very generally is before we shout ceasefire, 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 Hamas needs to release the hostages that are
No,
currently in
because what
place,
I've just said,
and then we
Sam,
can discuss
what I've
negotiation about a
said,
ceasefire.
what I've said, because
And also, what we also have to factor in is Hamas haven't stopped firing since the October 7th. They've been consistently firing into Israel.
Yeah.
So ceasefire needs to happen on both sides,
When-
not just one
yeah,
side.
but look,
You can't just say we're going to stop firing and you can continuously.
no, because
it doesn't work like that.
Exactly, it doesn't. So that's why, Sam.
Thank you as well.
Yeah, it's alright. So the thing with a ceasefire is a ceasefire, of course, has to be done on both sides. You can't have a ceasefire on one side and the other side obviously is continuously bombing. Now here's one thing. The other thing is that when you say release the hostages, and where the hostages are coming from, and you've got something like the Hannibal Directive that is going to curtail the releasing of hostages and the safety of the people and etc., even of the hostages, that's a thorn in the paw. That's an issue.
I
That's a
am not
problem.
convinced that Israel are going to kill their own hostages.
They have actually already. They already
They
have.
have already done
As
this.
far as you can say that.
Yeah,
I'm saying-
if you
No,
indiscriminately
like,
bomb
Yeah, of course.
Gaza, then obviously those people, they don't know where they're hiding.
There's visible evidence
So it's already been
of
done.
the rave
But I'm saying
of the
intentionally.
IDF
They're not gonna do it
using
intentionally.
cars and using their own civilians as shields. So when certain things get mentioned, we have to be very accurate. And I agree with actually what you're saying. I don't want to detract from that point, which is that look, if we're what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Now the thing is that there have been many instances of the past, where Palestinians have taken a step back. Yeah, they're saying, you know what, to achieve peace, let's do this and let's do that. And they've been bitten again and again and again. Settlements.
Yeah,
The
so, we
two-state
can dive into
solution.
this. We can talk about
Yeah, the two-state solution is something that the British government has been
We need-
pushing
yeah,
forward.
bring it here so
But anybody
we can
who
capture
suggests
everyone.
this now fails to understand about how bad the settlements actually are.
Is it too much?
And you know when something's been said on national television that look, this is illegal, according to international law, and nothing's getting done about it, you'll have to excuse the people of Palestinians 100%. That you know what, they're saying that if international law is not
Why don't you come here?
into
Brothers,
consideration,
is it okay? Bring
we
the
need to
camera
take
here.
things into our own hands. And here's when things get messy.
Is that better?
That's better, but we can't see
So into our own hands.
That's fine,
because
as long
the
as-
United States
as long as you
says
can see us,
that
that's
the
fine.
occupied
Alhamdulillah.
force has the right to defend itself.
Oh, I see.
Has a right to
And what
arm
does that
and
look
defend.
like in practice? What is this Palestinian self-defense
Okay.
in practice?
You understand?
Suicide bombing?
Self-defense.
Suicide
Does
bombing?
that come under self-defense?
Is there space there?
No, I'm asking you.
I'm asking you, in the
I'm telling
Palestinian
you.
territories,
I'm telling you.
self-defense and suicide bombing is
If we're-
killing IDF soldiers, killing.
If we're coming to an
So how do you
objective,
define this?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we want to come to an objective answer, then I've given an objective definition, which is by the United Nations.
And I'm saying, what does that look like?
And that's
How
what I'm
do-
saying.
how do-
Then we need to go to that statue and we need to see what they've defined. But of course, look, just like suicide bombing is not something that Hamas would be doing if you've got these giant Apache helicopters coming
We're talking about
and
West Bank.
decimating.
We're talking about West Bank.
We're talking about Palestine.
Okay, you're saying both.
We're talking
Yeah,
about Palestine
yeah,
in general.
Palestine
we're
is both.
We're talking about.
Because you're speaking about settlements in 1 minute.
No, Palestine is both of them.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm
Yes,
talking
settlements.
about the violation of international law.
Yeah, now we've gone to the...
No, that's
So that- so what I'm
wait,
asking,
Sam, let me
what
just
does-
finish the point. Let me just finish the point. So I'm going to finish it very quickly, which is that look, if there's no way of somebody enforcing international law, it keeps things get ignored, things get vetoed. The occupied people will not give a monkeys, frankly. And if you want progress to happen, then how about we take international law seriously?
We agree.
And there needs to be sanctions done on the United States
To motivate Israel to comply.
to motivate.
I understand what you're saying.
And sanctions when Israel violates international law. So,
And I
So-
get
so-
yeah, go ahead.
10 seconds. And I can fully sympathise, again, just to say, not from like an armchair position, that if they're on my French, if they're taking the piss for like 70 years and they're having calling ruled out internationally, but not having a law applied, I can get why then going to physical arms makes sense and is often like even morally justifiable within certain constraints. I guess what Sam and I are trying to ascertain now is what does that specifically look like? What kind of physical resistance is justifiable? What can you? We're both not pacifists.
I think he's already answered the question.
No,
we're not pacifists.
I think he said what?
No, we're both not.
We're not
Not
pacifists.
pacifists. So we're saying like some combat.
Suicide bombing is not that. Suicide bombing is not
What is?
resistance.
What is?
That's not resistance.
That's what we're trying to find out.
Are we in agreement on that?
No.
Suicide bombing
He's
is
already answered
I've
that
given you the
question.
criteria of the United Nations.
He's already answered the question.
Of course, I don't believe me committing suicide bombing is self-defense.
I would hope not. Yeah. That's right.
So I mean,
But I'm saying, what does that look like in everyday life? What does resistance look like according to your understanding in the
it
Palestinian
doesn't look.
territory?
If you're asking about something that's objective, you can't switch from something that the UN says to then what I think. What I think is irrelevant if we want something practical.
I'm saying taking the UN's definition into consideration. What does the Palestinian
According to the UN,
look like
you're supposed.
in practice? That's what I'm trying to
No,
understand.
according to the UN, you are supposed you're even able to take up arms for resistance. According to the UN itself.
Yeah,
But like,
taking a weapon.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
But we're saying, what does that
But do you
look
agree
like
with
in
that?
practice? I'm trying to give me a
Well,
case study.
they didn't give us specific terms like
that's
what
what we
kind of
don't-
arms. Arms resistance is permitted by the UN itself.
And I'm saying, give me a case study of what that looks like.
A case study.
Give me a case
What
study.
if somebody comes to kill you, you kill them back?
Listen carefully.
What kind of case study do you want? Eye for an eye.
Wait, imagine you're in Jenin, you're in Ramallah, whatever.
Yeah.
Is it self-defense to say, okay, there's an IDF soldier, I can just shoot them over there because, well, let me finish, because of the oppression and the part that they're playing in their government that is hurting my people, or the self-defense only rely on direct combat. So that IDF soldier's putting a gun at me and my family, I can fight back. Like,
Okay.
where's the
Have you actually looked at
self-defense?
Have you actually looked at the UN resolution, which
no,
tells
I
exactly?
haven't.
So that's what you need to go and look at because you see,
it doesn't give
no,
And then
exactly,
it's like Hashim
exactly.
was saying, international law
Yes.
has to be taken into consideration as well.
100%,
And
yeah.
international law is what things are going to be measured by. Is that self-defense? Is that not self-defense?
Because next you'll be asking me what is arms resistance. You see what I mean?
That's why we
Yeah,
can't
exactly.
ask it.
So
Yeah.
what you need to do is instead of you asking us,
Yeah.
ask the people. Wait, listen.
Yeah, sorry.
Ask the people who actually stated this as a law, which is the United
But you're
Nations.
using it in the discussion and you're
So
not
I'm using.
defining
Wait,
the
wait,
application.
no. You asking for specifics now?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Specifics is
So
what we have to look at.
If you're looking, wait. If somebody tells you arms resistance is allowed, what do you think?
Okay, let me-
No, wait. Just answer the question. When somebody tells you arms resistance is permitted, what do you understand?
They can take guns and they can fight.
Good.
Okay,
Now,
fantastic.
wait. Give me
Let me
specifics.
ask you-
No. Give me specifics.
And let me ask you a question.
You see, I'm turning the table on them.
let me give you a question.
No, but if you're going generic, then we can answer quite easily.
question.
But then when you start saying specifics, then you need to ask the people who actually postulated the law,
Yeah.
which is the UN, which is the UN.
I can give you examples if you
You can
want.
what? You can give me what?
Examples.
Examples.
Listen, if we say, for
I think the
example,
question is, what would Jesus do?
if we say, for example,
Turn the other cheek?
I'm also just
No.
using Islamically.
I know.
let me just
It won't be turn the
let
other
me say
cheek.
one thing. Let me say one thing.
Yeah, go on.
If we're in a situation where the UN says, international law says, you are not supposed to be bombing hospitals because they are considered protected infrastructure in a country, and I as a country and start to bomb hospitals, we can say this country on this war started to bomb hospital infrastructure.
Yeah.
That is wrong by international law. We can give an actual case study example, and we can all agree. So when we're asking,
Because that would be a war crime.
yeah, if you,
Right,
that's fine.
but then there is, but then it's nuanced in the sense that there are certain conditions. If those apply, then it won't be a war
When
crime.
we ask you, what does proper armed resistance look like in Gaza and West Bank? What does the correct use of that right look like?
We'd have to look at
That's
international
what I'm
law.
asking.
We'd have to look at
And that's why I
international
told you
law
you
to find
can't.
out.
right.
When you're asking specifics, then you need to ask. Then you need to ask the people who postulated the
I don't
law,
know
not us.
international law, yeah.
we didn't postulate it.
I'd have to look into
Yeah.
that.
For example, look,
That's not a problem.
there are clear statements as to what constitutes a war crime. Yes, right now, many of the things what Israel is doing would be considered as a war crime. But the question is this: who would implement it when every time it goes to the UN, it's been vetoed.
Yeah.
See what I mean? So we are actually, all the questions that we're asking here, for the sake of justice, is irrelevant. Because none of what we think is justice will be applicable, because every time we bring the culprit to justice, he is set free automatically by this, powers to be.
And then on top of that, because Palestine is recognised as a state a lot of the time, they're not.
By a few countries, it's recognized by many countries
what I mean is,
as a legitimate state.
On the UN, when they then say, okay, when they're bringing it into their considerations of justice, they then don't allocate it properly because they missed that.
Do you remember during the Oslo Accord when they were actually working towards a two-state solution? Yes? Their Prime Minister, Yitzhak Rabin, was assassinated by a Jew. Not by a Palestinian. Why was that? Because I don't think they want peace. I don't think they do.
And you see,
I think the only thing that will satisfy them is only if all the Palestinians vacated that country which they consider to be theirs.
And what we can do,
because remember, it was the Canaanites who are actually, many of the Palestinians are the descendants of the Canaanites. And according to even your Bible, it says that Israelis actually oppressed them to the extent where, and this is recently, like Netanyahu used the Amalekites as the example. I mean, the Amalekites were wiped out because God told the Israelis to completely annihilate them. The men, women, children, and even the livestock was not to be spared.
Children, babies.
Yes? So this was, according to them, the command from their God. Now, if they can justify using the Bible to annihilate and genocide an entire population...
That's not going to happen. Gaza's not.
Well, it happened to the Amalekites, did it not?
No, listen.
And the justification for them is the Bible.
Finish your point.
The justification, well, if you let me finish then, I'll finish the point. The justification for them was, again, this is what God told us. See what I mean? So they can always go back to the Bible to justify any genocide, any oppression, or any massacre, or even the babies.
I take issue with
This is 1 Samuel 15.
I take issue, but it's okay because you haven't applied genocide to this current Gaza conflict, so I'm not going to attribute that to you. But I do.
Do you not think it's genocide?
No, it's not genocide.
So who are the Palestinians?
Listen.
It is a particular community who is being wiped out, and it's big just because they happen to be in that place, just like the Amalekites.
Okay, hold on 1 second, let me speak. So I wouldn't describe the 10,000 or so estimated casualties as genocide, because the term genocide.
12,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're not
We're all disputing this statistic. I'm saying it's not genocide. Wait. How many have died in Yemen? Where is your outrage?
Wait, finish your point.
Where is your outrage?
A lot of Muslims had actually spoken out against atrocities everywhere.
Armenian genocide. Okay, 1 to 2 million Armenians killed by the Ottomans in 1918. That is a legitimate genocide. That happened. They tried to literally destroy the entire nation without any recourse. What is happening right now?
Why is that a genocide and not this?
The numbers.
Also, it is the numbers. Where did you get a definition of genocide based on numbers?
And the intention of the Ottoman Turks was to wipe out the entire race of Armenians.
Based on many of the politicians in Israel, is to wipe out the Palestinians.
That's not happening. That is.
So wait. I'm using your definition. I'm using your definition of intention.
This isn't a genocide. It's not a genocide.
But they have made it clear in the intention.
Okay, now
the statements are clear.
Hear the other
Palestinian
side of the
politicians,
argument,
Sorry,
Israeli
politicians.
You've got like 2.2 million people in Gaza, living in Gaza. Now suddenly, that 2.2 million has been told to come south. If you don't come south, you're going to be blown into smithereens. Which is illegal. Now in the south, documentation has come out. Documentation has come out that our intention is actually to shift them to tents in Egypt. This is actually come
Sinai,
from
not even Egypt.
Sinai. So now when that's being said, on the one hand that's the intention. On the other hand, it's like, you know what? They're slowly going to encroach in the north, and you've got this 2.2 million in a little tile tent, and they're not allowed to go in and out.
So this is a humanitarian crisis.
So to go further, even the Scottish First Minister's mother-in-law,
Hamza Yusuf,
even she wasn't allowed to leave, and she was crying on camera. And people are like, look, what is this going on? To some people, that was the first time they even kind of understood what was going on. And this population now, There's bombs being dropped on this population. There are hospitals that are being indiscriminately attacked. Every day we're seeing different news stations showing us
Children in ICU dying because they don't have fuel to actually
and then
keep those ICUs running.
you have people that are into genocide studies. Yeah, that's why, with respect, when you're saying I don't think it's a genocide, yeah, with respect, I don't really care about your opinion. No. Sam, let me be consistent, otherwise you're going to get offended.
You know what? I'm going to let you speak. I'm going to let you finish.
Yeah. Reason why I'm saying that, because if you just cut me halfway, then it's going to be like, yeah, I don't care about your opinion. In that regard, just like you shouldn't care about my opinion in this regard. Let's take the opinion of the people that are experts in the field of genocide, and they are in their droves, unanimously pretty much agreeing that this is a genocide taking place, and or this is coming up to a genocide. Regardless, but the word genocide is definitely on the table. For us to say to take it off completely, I think that's a bit unfair.
Can I keep going?
And if you have the Israeli, if you have Israeli politicians saying they are animals, they should all be killed, they're openly saying this, not hidden.
And that's
openly.
the point. He said,
Openly.
Flatten Gaza, leave no all human animals, dehumanizing them, make it zero, don't let anyone survive. That's just wanted to add one point.
Just a second. Okay, so there's a difference between official statements and then like statements that can be also made. So I think Israel's official statement, they wouldn't want to officially say we're trying to wipe out Gaza, right? Even if they are trying to do that.
So you're saying the politicians. So when a politician makes a statement, is that not official?
No, not necessarily.
Why?
Because a politician could be caught off camera, not realizing they're on camera.
No, they're saying this in the cabinet. It's in the cabinet.
I need to see that. Okay, what I'm saying is, I'm willing to fully accept.
And in front of the camera.
What's his criteria?
To accept that it could be a genocide, I need to just look at technical definition. I'm not
without researching, you've made your point. You've concluded without research.
My ambiguity over whether it's a genocide or not isn't because I'm in any doubt that it's a genocide or any doubt that the numbers are insane.
You just need to study more.
I just need to look at
That's fine, no problem. At least I respect that opinion. No problem.
I got about 10 minutes late for church, so I just want to quickly finish with this. Sure. Well, I think we agree more than we disagree, 100%. I think part of the reason I wanted to do this Speaker's Corner is because it's one of those things where Muslims and Christians hopefully can actually, we disagree on faith issues a lot, but on this issue it's so abundantly clear that we can agree on this as a matter of justice. That's what it's really encouraging to see. I think
your statements have been very encouraging as well.
I think from me and Sam's perspective, the idea,
and Sam's as well, of course.
The thing is that we want to say, let's be consistent in condemning both sides, and let's say, okay, we're willing to acknowledge also one side's longer, more extreme, greater levels of injustice. It doesn't mean that we can't not also condemn the other side. And when I, for example, want to condemn aspects of Hamas, not pretending like if I wasn't in that position, I wouldn't do the same thing. I might do. If I was oppressed for years and years and years, I would be exceedingly angry and wanting to take a punch, right?
You can't keep it bottled in all the time, can you?
From a purely rational, consistent position, I have to say, some things they're doing are definitely just, and also not helping the Palestinian people. If we want to move forward, to say, okay, this thing's wrong on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, condemnation. Clear. Look, when you read the Quran, it says that anyone who kills someone unjustly, yes, killing innocent is something as if you've killed the whole of mankind. Now, this killing babies in any context is wrong, regardless of who does it. And this is something that Muslims have consistently said. They're on TV, online, offline, all the time. But when when people, sometimes you have to understand their psychological state, which you currently do. Yes, when you are being consistently bombed and your generations so right now, you know what Israel is doing? Bombing of the people. I'm pretty sure what Hamas did now, maybe in the future you'll have people who are doing worse. Why? Because they saw it in front of their own eyes what happened to their women and children. And it is not happening to anyone. It's not happening to the future generation. In particular, when you start bombing children, the vicious cycle of violence. It'll only make it worse in the future.
One thing interesting as well, and Elon Musk said this as well, actually, forget about it, just pure strategy, even from Israel's perspective. If everyone slaughter, you kill, you end up creating two more because there's so
100 to 1 ratio.
because it's so
100 to 1 ratio, my friend.
still creating a sustainable solution. I just want to
Hey, another to mention is that, you know, when you make Hamas at the center of what's going on, I think that,
which I wouldn't.
I'm not saying
Just in this
I'm
discussion.
not
Generally,
saying,
I will put Israel at the centre.
I think that's a gross injustice, because what's happening is there is a proof something happened. News is coming out. Oh, there's 40 beheaded babies. Then it gets proved to be false. Oh, this happened at the rave. Oh, that's not necessarily the case. So again, at the moment, it's the heat of conflict.
Yeah.
We can't say that this is certain, that's not certain. But there are certain peer-reviewed cases, where, like Operation Cast-Led, Operation Protected Edge, these are peer-reviewed case studies of Israeli oppression that no one can say, you know what,
2014, 2014.
there's that. Those are case studies that are used by academics.
We condemn them when they do evil.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, look, what I'm saying is at this moment in time, things are very up in the air. So for us to make categorical statements and say, no, they've done this. Oh, okay, where have you got that from? Oh, we've got that from Israel. But again, the sources are dubious, and that should also be allowed. Questioning of the sources. Yeah, that's why I'm saying that the situation goes back and back and back. But if there's, indiscriminate, committing of war crimes by anyone, that of course needs to be.
Take care. Thanks for that.
Is there anything else you want to say in terms of...
No.
We just want to say free Palestine. Take care, mate. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Where's my guy?
I think that is one of your Christian guys.
That's the fact.
Yeah, the